Christine, thank you for joining me on InnSync. How you doing?
Great, Cory. Thank you for having me here. Going to be a
Bet.
great conversation.
Awesome. Can't wait to dig in with you about dropping receipts on an optimized website on the events and meetings page. I've got Christine Malfair from Malfair Marketing. And so the quick setup is that so many hotels are losing a lot of opportunities on a very poor, weak website experience as it pertains specifically to the meetings and events pages of the site. We're going to talk a little bit more about how they can benefit and reclaim some of that revenue. So I'm going to dig right in right now and ask you, how are hotels losing opportunities and revenue on their meetings and events pages, Christine?
Yeah, I think it's such an important conversation. So I'm glad that you're bringing this up, Cory, because it wouldn't, if we jumped right into how they could do it, we would be missing a bit of the bigger picture in terms of everything they're doing on LinkedIn and making calls, sending emails, going to networking events, paying for all their marketing activities that are pointing to a website. And we spend a lot of time on all these activities, but there are certain web pages that are collecting dust and we haven't updated them, and we need to take really a careful look. So it is an important conversation, because why in the world would we not have all signs pointing to one place? Needs to be chef's kiss. I agreed that a lot of hotels struggle to solve this, especially where meetings and events are concerned, because there is this tension that exists between, they have one part that is leisure, that is their hotel selling to their transient market, and then they have others where it's a business to business environment. And how do we build that in to be somewhat cohesive and still on brand, but then also really serve the needs of those two different markets, which is the biggest challenge. And that's probably the piece that gets skipped, right? We jump right into features. We jump right into the listicle of things that we do. But instead of really understanding what the audience is looking for, why are they coming to our site? What are they there to get? And so meetings and groups pages sometimes can just be buried because of all of those things. They get buried with, like, if the market mix of a hotel is more leisure, then you often see those groups and web and events pages buried 2 or 3 clicks deep.
Absolutely. I use this analogy a lot, but not fixing the holes in your boat before you put more passengers on it. I
Love
think
that
that
quote.
a lot of agencies will, without optimizing the guests that come through the front door of their lobby, they'll just continue to shove more people at a very costly acquisition rate, where optimized website as you mentioned, it's a different buyer. We're talking somebody that's spending 5, 6 figures of
Yes.
business. And now we're finding people that come there that are looking for a venue may not have a ton of meeting experience. So imagine an administrative assistant, their CEO says, "Hey, Christine, guess what? You're a meeting planner now. We didn't bring this one back from COVID. Find us a meeting venue in San Diego." And you're going, "Oh my gosh, I'm stressed out. I've never done this before. I planned a high school party in my day, but this is next level. My job could be on the line." And you're going to
So
this
true.
website and it goes, "Upload your RFP." And you're like, "I have a lot of questions and I don't see a lot of information here." So I think personally, and I put myself in this buyer's hat before, is where if I was to have LureCon 25 and I wanted to find it at a hotel back east, I'd actually work in reverse. I'd find a person that I know that could fulfill that event for me, that I know is gonna be trustworthy, because there's a boatload of fantastic venues worldwide. But does that give me trust? If I'm gonna spend 75 grand and send my team back there, yeah, that space might look fantastic, but what happens if the whole thing comes apart? And I've invited some of our partners to come to LureCon, and I look like a fool for putting this on. So how do you think that not having an optimized site that builds that trust, has resources to somebody that does not have experience and they don't like what they see and they leave?
I think it's this really important thing to bring up, is that the person in the meeting planning role isn't what it used to be. And They just don't have the breadth of experience. So they're going to draw on what experience they do have, which is how would I do this for myself? And they're going to go to different resources and look for different things, maybe that the meeting planners of past have. And that is why the website really does need to be updated and understand that the meeting planner of today is going to be different. And so I just this morning, to prepare for this call, I went on Four Seasons website because I was thinking to myself, who would I expect to really have it nailed? And I did. I found through the navigation menu only that they were doing meetings and events. I went through some filtering options on their website, like continents, even like nothing very specific. Like, do I want it in North America? Yeah, it was very broad, and I know that they're global, so this is going to be a big challenge. But looking through filtering options, it did get me down to a narrowing, which was a nice experience. But then it went into the spinning wheel of death.
Oh, wow.
No results came up. And I have a patient. I have patience as a marketer, and I know what's happening in the website. And if you're trying to load all these images and video and all these kinds of things. So I have some patience, but it didn't bring anything up. And then it went straight into you either click on details or you click into a proposal. There was very minimal information. And so when I think about what that experience should be like, it really is at the top of it. If we think of two sections of a website really for meeting and events, one section being the homepage. So if a core piece of your business as a hotel is meeting and events, you need to have a featured section on your homepage. And that featured section needs to, I akin it to an ad, but it's not technically an ad, but it does follow the formula, the AIDA formula: attention, interest, desire, and action. So if you think about this image and then you think about the hook and what is really going to get people to take that action. So you want to lean in on your differentiation, and you want to lean on what makes you unique. And then you want to, obviously, if you can fit a testimonial in there, that would be a bonus as well. So there's one section of the hotel site that is like the homepage. And then the next is that meeting and events page. So we know that voice search is rising. The up and coming generations, like 80% are doing voice search. So they're not actually typing in. So our websites need to be able to answer a lot of questions. And I think having the image at the very top of that site that really does this tell and sell. And I would say this for leisure this applies in leisure too. But when people land on that site and they see this photo of an actual event, you want to really increase that I want that factor. Like you want to up that. I want that. That's what I want. I want my event to look like that. And so investing in that photography, taking that, putting it on your website really is an immersive experience right off the bat.
Beautiful. I'm not sure if you saw my post today, but I added 3 suggestions to those as well. Again, it's getting back to that element of trust, right? That's the gold standard of
Oh,
business.
yes.
Actually, as much as a failed book vacation for my family and my wife, and I get a bad job, that's one thing. But putting my job on the line for a 6, 7-figure sell, that's a whole different level. So my 3 suggestions today was, as you mentioned, social proof, testimonials, and video. It is almost like a non-existent. We're obsessed with TripAdvisor and Yelp on the leisure side, but on the group and meetings events, weddings, maybe on Wedding Wire, I want to see a video testimonial from somebody that's had a meeting there, what was set up all the way through, how successful it was. I also want to see a short form. I want to be able to easily ask a question. You'd mentioned destination. I might not know if San Diego's the right place. Maybe Denver is. How is it? Or even if you guys have any availability in August. Before I go through a 50 form RFP process. And then lastly, for crying out loud, why aren't your team who is going to execute this for me?
Yes.
Non-existent on most hotel websites. And everybody screams how important hospitality is about the people, yet it's a ghost town on the meetings and events. So what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah. To your point about that I want factor and the photos and the videos, that testimonial piece, if you can somewhere between the I want factor and that testimonial piece, we need to answer the question on our site of that our prospect has in mind, which is this for me? And they to have text on there that is very much, you've talked about self-selecting. So people come on and a website and they can tell whether it's for them or not. They know based on the things that they're looking for, there's enough information that they can self-select or opt in to take the next step. So I think, is this for me? And then having that testimonial piece says it was for them. And when it says it was for them, then we can say, okay, now I'm starting to make connections. This is for me and it was for them. And now what's next? And really answering those in terms of benefits. There is something to be said for, I think, the meeting and events side, listing out amenities, because that is what the meeting planner is taking back to the folks who are actually going to be
Sure.
experiencing it. So I think that some of those key points are good. But having FAQs on your site is so critical. And in my marketing brain always thinks voice search loves FAQs,
Absolutely.
because if you can match phrases that people are going to talk into a phone and then it matches with what you have on your website, you're going to win in SEO, the new age of SEO. And it's things like that. So having FAQs, having a gallery of photos of different events that have happened, talking about specific differentiators like craft cocktails and those kinds of things, I think are fun elements to include.
I could not agree with you more. And there's no point we could overdo it on video. And there's just a shortage of video everywhere on every hotel website, leisure and group.
Mhm.
As you and I have both been obsessed over on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
video, absolute huge differentiator. There's no medium else like that because I can see your face, I can see your expression, I can hear your voice, I can tell if you're shady or not, Christine, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
that in itself is a game changer. That's almost like a warm introduction to somebody that's never met you. If you're on video on their page and like, oh my, something
mhm,
about Christine makes me feel that it's comfortable, and I feel comfortable in taking that next step with you.
sure.
I wanna send you an email or maybe even talk to you on the phone. You sound very welcome and inviting, by the way. So
Yeah. And in the age of AI, where we are reading things and we're looking at hotel websites and everybody's getting well trained in terms of, oh, this feels a little, this language isn't really natural, or this isn't this. Video is how you build that trust. And I know you talk a lot about trust, and video is how you do that. Video is a great way to create that warm connection, as you say, and also to essentially, like when you get on the phone with someone after having seen them on a video, you feel more familiar. And when you feel more familiar, then you're already halfway there in sales.
exactly. In the reluctancy of I still a lot of hotel sellers is, "No, I can't do the video thing." Just you guys are missing out. It's not it's uncomfortable. I get it. I if anybody knows that it's me, but I
Yeah.
understand how much it's not normal for me to put myself on video, but I've overcome that and I see it. People literally have said, "Cory, I've seen you on video," and then it starts a great conversation.
Yeah, they get your energy and they get a sense for what your style, your vibe. It's a common term we're using, but yeah.
Absolutely. One last question for you, which is the most important part. I know every owner and executive leadership is what is the results, the difference in terms of revenue? What can you expect from somebody that actually has an optimized website on
Yeah.
that part?
Yes, I love to see traffic increases, but that is largely driven by all the things that you're doing outside and point to your website. So the metric that's most important is conversion. Here, when you're looking at how is that conversion either happening, and in groups and meetings, that conversion is measured differently than it would be over on the leisure side because it's very transactional on the leisure side. And in this one, it's very relational. So I think you're looking at it. The conversion rates on a site that follows a model of like answering some of those questions And really, I like following a formula that is more triangular, like that you have this nice wide image and then your text does this and leads to a call to action. So the visitor gets this sense that, oh, okay, I'm narrowing down as I go subconsciously, and then clicks on that RFP piece. If we're seeing an uptick of 3% by just changing our content, just changing how it is, how people engage with it, then that's a win. And I've seen that in a hotel that I work with. We've seen a 3% increase in that. And then what happens, I know you, Cory, talk a lot about RFPs and just not putting people through a grueling process and only ensuring that you are taking the information that you need to then start a conversation. Because the more conversations you have, the more sales you make. And RFPs just can't have those conversations.
Beautiful. In fact, this is a great segue into our strategy we've sidestepped the RFP process. Our stick is driving more direct through the website. The proposal might come later,
Gotcha.
but if we reduce the barriers, make it really easy for somebody like like you mentioned earlier to you, Christine. Hey, do you guys have any availability in middle of August? And they don't even have a date. Like they don't have anything specific.
Yeah.
They're already in the funnel now. And you can assume that they're not sending an RFP out to 20 properties and competing on a faceless, nameless document that sits on everybody's desk. So with our strategy is that we're focused on driving more direct and increasing that at least 100%. So they're getting inquiries multiple times per week, which convert at a much higher rate, 40, 50, 60% versus a 3% on the RFP rate.
Yes. Good point. Good point. Thank you. Yes.
So between what you just mentioned in terms of a 3% increase in that conversion rate on a traditional RFP, and then increasing it from a direct by making it easy for people to reach out to you,
Yeah.
and start that conversation, I think that's a winning recipe. That everybody, and that's where I think
I really love that approach because, yeah, it's one that we want to 40-50% is an awesome rate to share.
definitely. In fact, one of the other byproducts is that one of our properties in West Virginia, they didn't need to hire a separate sales coordinator because they weren't spending all that time chasing RFPs. They converted a higher rate. So not only were they converting more business, or they continue to convert more business, they had a record year again this year, but they have less of a sales team to manage it all. That's a top and bottom model, which
Yes.
is somebody that's not a revenue or a numbers guy by nature. Christine, this has been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have another one with you. But in the meantime, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you?
Sure. My business is Malfair Marketing. I have been helping hoteliers save time and money with hotel marketing solutions. As Cory knows, I focus a lot on the leisure side of things, and you can find me at malfairmarketing.com, LinkedIn at Christine Malfair.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Cory. It's been fun conversation. Thanks.
I always enjoy our conversations, and I will be reaching out to you again soon. Have a great rest of the week.
Awesome. Thank you.